And also, are you looking forward to any potential progress from the mayor's race after de Blasio's time's up?
So there's a lot happening across our city, not just across the borough. And, we can see it at every level of government. Building on wins from people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jamal Bowman, then looking at our state legislature and we just elected a handful of socialists to our state legislature, right? The push to the left is really clear. There's clear momentum. We are building power. And I think we are in a position, and another thing that can be leveraged with these city council races is that it's a 51-person body because of the redistricting and how it's all been separated and the term limits. For the first time, 35 of our seats are term limited out. You are going to have a body that no matter what looks incredibly different and an increasingly leftist electorate. And as coalitions of candidates like myself move and are vocal and are working with groups and organizations on leftist platforms, it necessarily is going to push a mayoral candidate in that direction. And so we're seeing how the race is shaping up. But I want to be hopeful and optimistic in that I think that we will have a considerable change from our current mayor.
Yeah, that's interesting. And especially that you mentioned how a handful of socialist identifying politicians have been elected to the state legislature in New York. And that brings to mind the fact that your race is endorsed by the DSA in New York City. And we've been discussing the DSA's recent victories a lot here at the Vanguard. And we've been really impressed with the candidates they've endorsed and the initiatives that they've endorsed. And we've spoken to several great candidates in the DSA, including Zohran Kwame Mandame and Jabari Breesport, who just recently won their races for state office in New York City or in New York.
Zohran's going to be my assembly member.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, in Astoria, right? So yeah, that's awesome. And we've just been so impressed. Like I said, speaking to them about the issues they're advancing, and like you said, changing the momentum and direction of political activism in New York City. Just what's your relationship been with the DSA like, and can you just speak a little bit to the work that they've done in the city to affect progressive change?
Yeah, I mean, typically in our city, what we have been up against is entrenched political machines, right? Like you look at the dynamics between Alexandria and Joe Crowley, or like in my race, it was me against a machine-backed candidate. And a lot of times you have these really, really great people who are rooted in their communities, centering and fighting for working class folks, but the resources aren't there to execute a campaign plan to hit a win number, to then be able to represent the interest of your community and co-govern with your community. And one of the things that DSA does, like nobody else does, is the ground game, the organizing, and to see how beautifully and almost seamlessly our organization has been able to morph and stick and move into what campaigning looks like, electoral politics looks like in the middle of a global pandemic where you're not really face to face with folks, has been really, really incredible. But the other thing about DSA that is really beautiful is, as socialists, we are when you look at the rest of the landscape, what we are putting forth is something that is outside the bounds of what we have generally seen in government, right? For most folks that are engaging in, that are civically engaged and things like that. And what we're finding now that people are latching onto, whether you call it socialism or you just name it as, oh, you support healthcare for all people, that's a human right. Housing for all people, that is a human right. All of these different things is the political imagination that is necessary, right? Pushing back against boundaries. And, this is a very special moment, I think, for us, because the pandemic has laid a lot of things bare. And what we've seen is people are ready and willing to be radicalized, and it's a moment to capitalize on, where folks are saying, well, you told us we couldn't get housed. You told us we couldn't work from home. You told us we couldn't do all these different things. But now here we are trying to do them. And imagine what we could have accomplished with foresight, with planning, with intention, with proper resourcing, and what you see and what folks are envisioning and like wanting to see implemented in their communities are the things that DSA and other socialist orgs and organizers have been talking about and fighting for a very, very long time.